Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, and happy Labor Day! Today is Monday, Labor Day 2020, and to kick off an American holiday, I thought we would have an American top 5 of probably my favorite USA manufacturing company, that being Zero Tolerance Knives, part of the group that makes Kershaw as well, but ZT makes a little higher end, and I will just say it, definitely better quality overall, better built tank of knives, and it's a company that I fell in love with a while back, and ever since then, I've been pretty hard on the wagon. So I've got some I want to show you, and after the top 5, I want to get into a little discussion with anyone who has anything to say about ZT. I want to hear your opinion of where they're at. I'll share mine, and just kind of gauge everyone's feelings of where they think they're at, because I think they're in a little different place now than they were a couple years ago when they seemed to be at their peak, or maybe even just a year ago. They've kind of went down a path that doesn't feel like the most ZT-ish way. But before we get there, I thought to myself, you guys may not care what I have to say about ZT, so before I even get into that, I'm going to go over the top 5 first. Before I get right into the top 5, I'm going to hit a honorable mention, because I have 6 ZT knives. I love them that much, but I didn't want to make a top 6. I thought that would be weird, so we got an honorable mention, and the honorable mention right here is none other than the Z0055. And there's a lot of things I really like about this knife. Most importantly is probably this flipper tab, because it is different. Excuse the guy outside that decides to build a new house on Labor Day. Apparently he didn't get the memo that he shouldn't be doing anything too hard today, but he knew I was making a video, so he wanted to make some noise. But anyway, the flipper tab on the 0055, it's innovative. And I love innovation, whether it be something that makes everyone's lives better, or it just makes your lives a little more enjoyable. This is obviously a little more on the enjoyable side, but it really does make life that much better, because it kicks this blade out with so much force. It's almost like, it's so different than a regular flipper tab. It's kind of like the combination of flipping a flipper tab and pressing a button on an automatic, because it really flies out, and it's just very fun to deploy. The only downside to it is it will, you do it a lot, and it'll wear on your finger. So it's probably the only reason it's not in my top 5, is because I don't carry it as much as the other 5 because of that flipper tab. But regardless, I absolutely love the design. It all flows together just amazingly. Beautiful compound grind, makes a very versatile blade, and it slices like a dream. And I also kind of have a thing, I love Transformers, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I kind of have referred to this as my Optimus Prime knife ever since I had it. I think it has to do with the lines here and kind of like the overall way it just looks looking at it. I don't know, maybe I'm just weird and wrong, but this is my Optimus Prime knife. I've been wanting to put a lanyard on this with an Optimus Prime bead right back here for a while, maybe even do a little anodization. I thought that would be cool. Haven't done anything to it yet. Definitely want to get the lanyard, though, with the Optimus Prime bead at some point, but I just can't help it. It screams Optimus Prime to me, and I think it's amazing. So that's the 0055 coming in at, unofficially, number 6. So now that we have that out of the way, let's jump into this top 5. And at number 5, this is the knife that really turned me on to ZT. That is none other than the ZT 0452CF. And this guy here, this is just, if you were to have me make a list of pick 5 knives that define the definition of what a knife should look like, or your original image of what a knife would look like, this would probably be one of them. It's just got just that awesome drop point blade, simple but aggressive, long, good full handle, very solid construction with titanium and carbon fiber, a Dmitry Sinkovich design. You will hear that name again in this review, but just a perfectly executed design, and it's really what pulled me into ZT. I waited so long because when this knife came out, I wasn't making a whole lot of money, and I didn't want to spend that much money on a knife. And it was on sale, and I was like, you know what, YOLO, do it, buy it, get it now. And I did. And once I did, that was kind of the beginning of the end for me. And it really did pull me deep into the rabbit hole of pocket knives and start my collection. And no regrets there, because I do get a lot of enjoyment out of them. And I get a lot of enjoyment out of this knife. I did change the pocket clip on it. I got this from mxggear.com. It's if anyone's had one of these knives, you know that the pocket clip that came with this, it was a nice try, but it just didn't work. It was not a good clip for this knife. This one has a little more space here where you can actually truly carry it, deep carry, and it goes really well with the knife too. It's like the exact same wash finish almost. I mean, just an ever so slight difference, but looking at it at a glance, it looks exactly the same. MXG Gear did a really good job of that. But overall, it's just a great knife with great materials, S35, VN, and now that I got the new pocket clip, there's really nothing else I would change about it. Just a fantastic design from Sinkovich and a great offering from ZT. Now, how this came in at number 5, I don't know. Actually, I do know. This was one of the first releases from ZT that got them kicked off on a very successful run that really made them who they are. Now, they did have some great offerings before this, but again, this was when I first really got into them, and a lot of them stood out to me. So this is kind of where I got real heavy into the ZT game, which is why you won't see a lot of earlier ones before this. So again, this is an opinionated top 5. Tell me what I'm missing at the end of this. If you see one that's not on here that you think deserves to be on here, let me know. I would be more than happy to hear it, and I would probably agree with you on some of them. I just don't have them in my collection. And some of them are just hard to get at this point too, because ZT is just as popular with a lot of other people as they are with me. So, coming in at number 4, we have none other than the 0562, 0562 CF. That is the Hinderer collaboration with ZT, one of the Hinderer collaborations with ZT, and this is a play on his XM18 slicer grind model. And this was another one. ZT absolutely perfectly executed it. The action on this ZT may be the best of any, because it's glassy. It is glassy, buttery smooth on the way out, and you get that past that frame lock, and it just falls right shut. This was like this out of the box for me. Probably the most impressive action upon unboxing that I've ever had on a knife. Hands down, actually. None that I can think of right now that would beat this one. The overall feel, and you get that little bit of weight from the titanium and blade. It feels like the money you paid for it, which I believe is $260 or $248, something like that. Fantastic offering. And again, this was, I believe, shortly after the 0452 as far as release dates. I believe. Tell me if I'm wrong. I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. But again, this was the beginning of another beautiful relationship between Hinderer and ZT. ZT has done one of the things, in my opinion, that made ZT as great as they are, was their ability to collaborate with famous knife designers and just make offerings that just are absolute home runs. And again, this is absolutely one of them. How it's number 3 on the list, I don't know, because it was one of my favorite knives for a long time. And obviously it's not my favorite. There's at least 3 that are ahead of it. But again, just action and looks that are hard to beat. Dead centering. I love this knife so much. Number 4, the 0562 CF Hinderer design. And we're going to follow up number 3 with another Hinderer design, and that is the 0393. And this only edged out the 0562 because of the hardware on this. The hardware, and I like the sounds and the action a little better. The action is literally just as good as the 0562. Actually, maybe a hair behind as far as the drop shuttiness on it, but I like the deployment better. It just fires out and clicks. Has a very nice click to it. And this knife here is about to get a lot better because I believe tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm getting some custom scales for this guy from Sharp Dressed Knives, and they're going to be amazing. I will post a picture on my Instagram when I get them. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, do me a favor, look me up, just Wayne Sharp World. I'm on there, and I do a lot of, the themed days, the Micarta Mondays, blah, blah, blah. Post a lot of pictures, links to my channel, all sorts of stuff is on my Instagram. Look me up at Wayne Sharp World, and feel free to connect with me there as well. But the ZT-0393, I did not think I would like this more than the 0562, but I just do. Not a huge fan of the finish on this blade, but it still looks pretty nice. The light glaring off it makes it look a little not as nice as it does just in person. But just it's a super solid build. The hardware on this guy, the pivot collar here, and this screw goes all the way through to the other end, which just makes for a super, super strong construction. I think the pivot on a knife is one of the most important parts of any knife because it's taking all the abuse from the cutting, and whatever you do to this blade, that pressure is going to be put on this pivot. And this pivot for a knife that isn't, a true Hinderer or Chris Reeve or a knife of extreme heavy-duty build, this one is about as good as it gets, and it's really darn good. And it's just a complete package. I also got the deep carry clip from MXG on this one. I don't know if I'm going to keep it. It's just kind of big. It's a little too long for the knife. I think I may just get a regular Hinderer XM18 clip and put it on here and just have it stick out a little. When I get those custom scales on it, it's going to be a fun one to show off anyway. So I think I will just go with that. But none other than the ZT-0393 coming in at number 3 for you. And number two is, I had a love-hate relationship with this for a long time, but it's grown on me for so many times, and it really has become one of my favorites. That is none other than the 0850, and I absolutely just really ruined the moment there with that flip, but I'll try that again here in a second. The 0850CF, that is a collaboration between Dmitry Sinkovich and Todd Rexford. Again, you hear Sinkovich, and Rexford had some other really good designs with ZT. They just weren't I liked them, they just weren't my favorite. It never really talked me into buying it. But a 20 CV blade, kind of a little 6-shooter theme going on all over the place here on this knife. As well as the back spacers. Some people call them bullets, some people call them revolver tubes, whatever those are called, revolver cylinders. But just a very nice theme, and I like this sprint run because it really kind of calmed down this back spacer. The original run of these knives, they had kind of like a navy blue, gray theme to them, and I really liked it, but the backspacer just popped out way too much for me. When they came out with the sprint run, I had to get all over this because I was just a huge fan of the carbon fiber. Actually kind of helped pop the knife out a little more with all the black, so you kind of had the reflection from the carbon fiber, so it made it a lot more appealing to me, with the black flats, satin grind. Love that. And having the backspacer blacked out just really worked. It kind of sealed the deal for me. It is also, I believe, the first ZT to have this sub-frame lock, which was really cool. You see it on a lot of Kershaw's now, but when this came out, it was a much more popular new thing, and a lot of people really liked it for good reason. It just looks awesome and still makes the knife extremely durable. This knife is running on washers, which is a little surprising, but it also makes for very good action, and I wish I could deploy it. It's a little hard to deploy this one under the camera, but there you go. Good job, Wayne. Good God. But it comes out very well, and it's a lot easier to do when I'm not under the camera. So don't let this be a good example of how this knife deploys, because the action really is good. It's a smoother action. It's not quite as whippy and snappy as the other ones you've seen, but it's still very smooth, and it comes out just fine. and I am just a big fan of the overall design, the look of this blade. Love this sheep's foot blade. Still a real aggressive tip, and just overall, just a very great executed design from Rexford, and Sinkovich and Hinderer pulled it off once again. So there's number 2, the 0850CF, and number one for me anyway, because some people wasn't as big of a fan of this as I was. I love this design, and it is none other than the ZT0460. This is an Emerson collaboration. Emerson is another one. He had 3 really good collaborations with ZT. I had another one. I think it was the 0630. This is the 0640. But that one I just let go. I wasn't carrying it enough. But this one here, to me, this one spoke a lot about ZT, because this showed that ZT could not only make a knife that was tough, built like a tank, true to the ZT name, but also a really nice gentleman's carry. This is a nice gentleman's carry. Now, I did replace the green micarta scales, which I didn't hate. A lot of people didn't like them at all. I didn't hate them. I just didn't love them. I do love this brown micarta. This is from Sharp Dressed Knives as well, but it fits perfectly. To me, this makes the knife. I like the black hardware on the brown micarta, and I love this Lynch clip that I put on it. It's the perfect clip for it. To me, it makes this knife perfect. There is nothing I would change in this knife. This is a knife that it will absolutely never leave my collection. There is one other thing I'd like to do with it, though. I think I would like to change this circular disc to some type of a rectangle or square, because I think it would make it a little easier to deploy. My thumbnails are usually lacking. I don't have quite the nails, so I got to really get in there. But it still comes out just fine. Beautiful, elegant blade, but still nice beefy tip for some aggressive work. You're not going to be breaking the tip off this guy. If you do, you may very well break the rest of the knife, because it is a solid tip with 20 CV steel, one of the best steels you can get out there on the market today. And just overall, like I said, just excellent execution to make it classy, elegant, and still have that ZT bite, that ZT flair that everyone has come to love from ZT. So I can't say enough about this knife. I kind of wish it was on bearings, because this one's on washers as well. But the action on this is really better than the 0850. So no real issue. I guess I just obviously like bearings a little more. But again, I can't knock it too hard, because it comes out just fine. And in my opinion, the best ZT of all time, at least the one that I've experienced and have handled. So there you go, the 0640, the Ernest Emerson collaboration with Zero Tolerance. Now, let me pull out these knives here, so we'll have a full look at 1 through 5, and kind of just talk about what ZT is doing right now. Because a lot of their designs recently, I don't want to call them bad, because the one thing that is important to know about ZT is that regardless of what kind of design they come out with, the quality is going to be there. ZT has phenomenal quality. I've never knocked their quality, and I probably never will. But the design and execution of what they've come out with lately, to me, just hasn't been the ZT way. I don't have anything real bad to say about them. It's pretty obvious that I'm a ZT fan, and I'm not going to hide that. But I think that their designs, they've just kind of been, I don't know. They're not clicking. The in-house designs aren't really working for me, and from what I'm hearing from other people, it's not really working for them much either. They're not true to the ZT name. They're a little bland. They're missing something. And personally, what I think they're missing is the collaboration aspect. Look at all these knives. All these knives are ZTs, but they are Sinkovich, Hinderer, Sinkovich or Rexford, Emerson, along with, like I said before, a lot of other good Emerson collaborations. That's what really set ZT apart for me, was the amazing quality, the tough build, but the collaborations, because you could get Hinderers that were so, a lot of people can't afford Hinderers, but if someone said you can get a Hinderer for half the price of a Hinderer, would you do it? Absolutely. I mean, if you can afford it, you will. So that was a really nice thing about ZT. It was what they offered was a Hinderer design at a ZT price with quality that was, I don't want to say it's not better than Hinderer, but it's still, for your EDC carries, for what you do on a daily basis, it's plenty good enough. It's on the level of the built like a tank phrase, no doubt. They're just great. So that was where ZT was really apart with me. That's what set them apart and made them so appealing, and the fact they're all made in America. But yeah, lately the designs coming from in-house, they just haven't been great. The 308 is probably the only one that's come out in the past, I'd say year and a half, that has really, I thought, looked okay, but I was not a big fan of the whole thing they had here in the middle. And again, it was another in-house design, and I feel like their in-house designs look a little too much like some Kershaw designs. There's nothing that really, not a whole lot that differentiates them from a Kershaw design. It's like a high-class Kershaw almost. And if you look at these right here, you don't see any similarities outside of maybe these two because they're both Hinderers. That's understandable, though. But look at this. Look at the differences here in blade shape, in kind of size, but just the overall lines are so drastically different. You can't look at any of these and say, oh, they look just like a Kershaw model, because they don't, because they stand apart. It shows that they're the premium line, that these are the ZTs, and they're completely separate from the Kershaws. They got, awesome names behind them. They have better steels. They have a lot more going for them. And they're just not, I don't know, there's just something to where I feel like ZT just doesn't want to collaborate with designers anymore. And I really wish they would. I wish they'd collaborate with someone like Vox, Jesper Voxness, who makes his design scream ZT. He would make a perfect ZT knife. Elijah Isham, even him, because you know what? You have something like this, you collaborate with someone like Isham, you have, something a little more on the wild side that I think would attract a lot of people who love Elijah Isham and also love ZT. It would be a match made in heaven. I think it would be a really good one. That's just a couple names. I'd like to see another Hinderer collaboration of maybe the Jurassic, or what about this? How much would an XM24 scream ZT? Huge knife, overbuilt. I think it would be awesome. Maybe Hinderer doesn't want to do that. I don't know. I don't have any in-depth knowledge of what those guys are talking about behind the scenes, but it would make a lot of sense for me, and I think it would sell great. And it's not going to stop anyone from buying a true Hinderer. I mean, I have Hinderers and I have these, so it didn't stop me. I don't think it would stop a lot of people. It may actually try and convince them to upgrade next time and try out a Hinderer. That's very possible. It's actually kind of what it did for me. But that's just kind of where I am on ZT. I still really like him, and I want another something like this. I want another something like this very bad. And I'm starting to feel like I'm just not ever going to get it again. So I hope I'm wrong. I hope ZT proves me wrong, because I do think I'm right here. I think they're kind of going away from the ZT path that made them who they are. You guys let me know. What ZT knives did I miss in this top 5? And what do you think about ZT? Am I being too harsh, or do you agree with me? Let me know. Give me your honest thoughts. I look forward to hearing them. I hope you guys have an awesome Labor Day. I will see you on the next one. I'm out.